Maybe I'm projecting, I don't know. So we would love for you guys to join us on this song. If you'd like to stand and sing with us, sing to the Maker, yeah.
Almighty Creator, there is none but you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. My comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength. Let every breath, all that I am, never cease to honor you. Sing to the Maker of all creation, power and majesty shining through us. Mountains bow down and the seas all roar at the sound of thy singing. I sing for joy at the work of your hands. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the presence I feel in you.
Let's do that again.
Almighty Creator, there is none but you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love.
Let's sing out.
My comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength. Let every breath, all that I am, never cease to honor you. Sing to the Maker of all creation, power and majesty shining through us. Mountains bow down and the seas all roar at the sound of thy singing. I sing for joy at the work of your hands. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the presence I feel in you. Nothing compares to the presence I feel in you.
Okay, everyone stay standing, please.
While you're standing, turn to the person next to you and say good morning. Get each other's names. This is the Unity community. Wow. All right, yes, you can cross the aisle. Okay. Right. And now, while you're seated, could you just please turn the volume off on your cell phones? You can leave your cell phones on if you wish, and text people and let them know where you are right now. That's great. Or you may want to use your cell phone to snap some photos of the PowerPoints that we use up here. I know some people have said they enjoy doing that, and that's fine. You can do that. We just don't need any sound interfering with the next beautiful hour we're going to spend involved in the truth. And I want to welcome all of our Spanish-speaking friends that are joining us for the service, and certainly our friends that are on live stream. We appreciate you tuning in. We certainly appreciate it when you send some tithes this way, because you know, Unity is that kind of an operation. Every single Unity Church Center operates by its own finances. It operates on virtue of the tithes that the people attending give to that particular operation. There's no mother church with a big bank account that sends us money. It's all done right where we are, right here, right now. Is there anybody from another Unity here for the first time? Nobody? What about anybody here for the first time, period? Back there. You raise your hand up high because we got a gift for you. That's it. Okay, ushers, can you see her raising her hand? All right. Make sure we get that gift to her. It's a bale of hay. They'll bring it to your car. All right. We have a tremendous opportunity here at Unity. We're not bound by any dogma. That's the beautiful part about Unity. Every Unity Church Center is autonomous in that respect. There's no mother church that says this is what has to be said in that particular church. So we're open and we're guided by Spirit to share what we feel is relevant in our journey toward this more expanded awareness that we call the kingdom of heaven in our midst. This morning again, you have the opportunity to listen to a beautiful message about reality and our ability to be divine, not only by, the fact that we were created divine, but by the fact that we are now in that process of expressing our divinity. So you're really going to enjoy this talk by Syntysche.
So this next song is called Ready to Receive, and it's sort of a round. So you'll hear different parts. We'll each be singing different parts. If you hear a part you like and you want to join in singing it, we welcome you to do that. And this is the time when we're inviting Spirit into the room and preparing to receive the message that God has for us today.
Come to me, I am ready to receive. 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 Come to me, I am open. I am ready to receive. Come to me, I am open. I am ready to receive.
Ready to receive love. Ready to receive love.
you. Wow, that was a really beautiful way to start. I think we could have just done a whole hour of that song. I mean,
We lose the spotlight?
I kind of like it. This feels more like we're connected that way. I'm ready to receive love. I mean, the harmonies and the resonance in all of your voices, you guys, that was really a special and holy moment. It's hard to follow that because that really was. I remember when I heard that song the first time, I was with Erna, Shad, and my husband. We were at Unity Village, and it was the opening ceremonies for the ministers' conference. And there were many ministers up there that were actually singing that song, and it's one of the opening numbers, and I was like, I love that song. But I think that we topped it today. Okay, well, today's talk title is I Am a Child of God, Yes, I Am. And it's kind of an interesting title because it really has nothing to do with what my sermon is about. But I just like starting with this positive affirmation because I'm going to be kind of talking about actual real life and seeing it through the spiritual lens. And, you know, we can all be going through difficult times in our life. We can have whatever's going on in our life, and we wonder why we're still on a spiritual journey, and yet still tough stuff can happen. And so I just kind of want you to always keep in the back of your head of no matter what I'm speaking about today, that the affirmation for today is, I'm a child of God, yes I am. We affirm that in everything, regardless of what it looks like out in the world or out in our careers or out in our marriages, that we can always affirm this absolute connection with God and that we're always being divinely directed and connected and driven by this greater energy. But there's an idea that when we become spiritually awake or evolved, that life then will become easy. I haven't met that person on the path yet. That has reached a level where they are sheltered from all of the disturbances of life. I believe this is because life is messy. It is imperfect. It is full of change and loss and self-sacrifice and difficult people and hard circumstances. And my question is, and who are we to say that the difficult stuff isn't also holy? Right? Because I know that every great catapult moment in my life where I have stepped into a deeper awareness of the Christ Spirit through me has been after a spell of deep introspection and painful times. And it doesn't always have to be that way, but most people's great evolvements come from the times when they've been really broken down by more than one thing at a time till we finally let go and surrender to whatever it is Spirit's trying to teach us through these difficult circumstances that show up one after the other. Because life is messy, we do look to spirituality, or people look to religion, to help us make it through it. It doesn't mean that we get to avoid all of life's circumstances if we've decided to step into it and get married, have children, work jobs, be around other people, then we're probably not going to avoid it. And I can tell you, I'm definitely not avoiding it right now with 2 teenagers in my house, freshly teenagers, so the real like hormones where they have no control over what they're thinking, saying, doing, being. I don't ever know what the tornado is that I'm going to face, and it's never something that's really that important, but man, can it take this peace out of your household. It could be anything from Katya can't find something to wear that morning, even though we laid it out the night before and it's very clear and it's like the clothes are flinging and I never buy her anything and I've never done anything for her and it's just... And then she finds like the ugliest sweatpants and the dumpiest sweatshirt and leaves like, all right, I got it. This is what I want to wear to school. Or the constant reminding me which of the 2 kids I love more. That I showed which one more loved that day than the other. And they want to have actual arguments about these type of things. And, I've always told you guys, I've always said to my children, whenever I hug my kids, I always tell them, you're my favorite one. So that one day when I do pass away, they will have the argument again. She told me I'm the favorite one. So I love the idea of, what do you want to do to make God laugh? Tell him your plans, right? You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Because it seems like when we have really strong attachment to plans, God has a little different idea for us. And it's not necessarily worse. Actually, it's probably something better, but it might not be the quickest way to that which is supposed to be an out-picturing experience for us. So it might not be as fast. We always say it's in God's timing. Well, God's timing is slow. And usually not in our fast-paced lifestyle way of showing up for us. So we're forced all the time to kind of be uncomfortable in our skin and in our human self. Because the human wants to think and have. I want to think and have. I want to think I'm going to have that business and I have it and it's a success and I don't have to worry about it and it's like this. But in reality, everything takes a holy pause. Everything takes introspection and direct guidance. Everything is calling for us to find where the invisible forces are working through us. Until we know when the invisible forces are working through us, we should probably not be taking a step forward in our grand plans. Because God doesn't laugh at us when we're using God's plans through us. God is blowing wind on our back and moving us to that which is being called for anything. But I had a person say to me the other day, or ask me a question, what is spirituality? As far as you see it, Spirituality is probably very different from my perspective than it is from anybody else's perspective. Because from my perspective, I'm working in a spiritual center all day long. I'm seeing the people that are coming to church because things aren't going well, usually in life. People don't usually walk through the door of a church because things are going great. So I'm seeing the people that are in the turmoil of life. And they're asking for divine guidance from a daughter of God. That which they are also, the daughters and the sons of God. I'm just here to reflect back, to remind them of this greater power that lives within them. And that's what I do up here as well. But spirituality, in my opinion, is a longing to know, why do we go through all of this? To understand, what is it all about? To get out of the mechanical motions of life and start to recognize that there's something greater at hand in every single thing that is happening in our life. There are no, just coincidences. It's synchronicities. It's moments of clarity. It's moments of the veil being thin enough that we speak to people on the other side that are no longer with us, that we're divinely guided by our guides and our angels. And we trust that that energy is always showing up for us. The problem is that we disconnect ourselves from something that's a constant. This constant is always here. This is what church and community is about, is to remember what we innately already knew when we were born. But unfortunately, the world starts to mirror to us that it's going to be money, it's going to be partners, it's going to be careers, it's going to be achievements that are going to bring us happiness. And it couldn't be more wrong. Our spiritual connection first, then attracting the partner, and then attracting the career, and the awakening to why I'm here. What is all this stuff that is going on in my life? It's going to something, and I want to figure out what, instead of becoming a victim of the challenges. How do we start being victorious of the challenges and recognizing that they are also holy. They might not seem like it when in the deep of it. I understand that. But at the core of all religions, Buddha and Jesus and all of the founders, they felt this longing, and instead of running away from it, they followed it. We all have this longing. It's covered by conditioning, childhood wounds, events in our culture, that to be hip is to be cynical. In your quiet moments, we are all spiritual. You know those moments when, well, like for me, Mike and I drive in the car to work all the time, we're with each other all the time, dropping kids off. But every once in a while, I have these moments where I have to take my own car. And I put on my music, and there's no teenagers in the back dictating and wanting Starbucks and this and that and the other, and just bring out your wallet and just start going like this for them. And I get to ask myself, what do you want right now? Those come far in between, I can tell you. And I've had a hard time with self-care. That's my hard one right now. That's the one that I'm working on. That's the challenge that I'm overcoming within myself, of why is it that I'm always teaching others how to take care of themselves, but I don't really know how to do that for myself as well. And I think many counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists and ministers and people that work in this work have this problem, because there's so many people to help, and there's so little time to reflect on ourselves, and we can burn out, and we can get sick, we can have issues because we give a little too much from a glass that we're not filling enough. So it doesn't matter how long you have been doing this spiritual practice with meditation and visualization, everybody still has a crappy day. That's just the way it is. I mean, there is no guru, there is no person on this planet that avoids the pain of life. It's just the way it is, because there's the yin and the yang. We learn so much from the light, and we also learn from the darkness. And I'm a Libra. I really see those two sides. You understand the darkness, and I also know how to bring them back to the light. I also know people that are a little too light, that aren't grounded enough to get a job, so we have to get them over here a little bit. It's balance. It's finding that balance. So hopefully, when we're having that hard day, we do our mindful meditations and quieting our crazy thoughts, and hopefully what bubbles up is our intuitive wisdom in those spaces. That's what we're looking for, right? So that crappy day isn't just because of everything that happened outside of you, that person that you don't like working with said something that just offended you, or the circumstances going on with your school or whatever is going on. The crappy day has some teaching in it. Have you ever just woken up in a bad space? You just wake up in a bad space. And, I mean, let's get honest here. There's like two people that put their hand up and have, I mean, let's have a truth moment, okay? How many people have ever woken up in a bad space? Thank you. Holier than thou. Why don't you come up here and do the sermon then? The importance of it is that when we're on this path, we're fully aware that there's something in it, right? It's not just that you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. These are things that we'll say. Or maybe we did have a really bad dream. That could be it, you know. Dreams about our children or something like that absolutely could wake us up in a kind of a state of fear or oppression or whatever. But I've woken up in a bad space and wondered, what is going on with me? And I've had it recently a little bit. And I've been driving in my car alone a little bit more often, trying to visit what is this unsettled thing that is trying to get my attention. Because I know that I have to put my spiritual application, my practice, my everything into this to finally get that bubbling up of the intuitive wisdom to say, this is what's going on for you. You are feeling disconnected. You are feeling unappreciated. You are feeling like you're giving from a glass that's half empty. These are the kind of things that are coming up for me. And everybody's going, self-care, self-care, Syntysche, you gotta do self-care. What does that mean? Self-care doesn't really fit into a full-time job, being a mother, working for my parents, and with my brother. I mean, self-care, that's for the next lifetime. I'll do it next time. No, I'm doing more stuff with it. But I know that the soul development should take precedence over all things. I will achieve and accomplish this self-care, this self-development. Obviously, there's something about this self-care in my soul development. Something came here a little vacant this time. So some of us are good at self-indulgent, or some of us are good at being creatives. We're good at all sorts of different things, but we have things that we absolutely are successful at, and there are things that we are not as successful at, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean we ignore the things that we're not as successful at. That means it's time to chip away at what are these things we're harboring and holding, these limitations that are keeping us from self-care, keeping us from self-reflection and what's really going on, or avoiding us from the deep conversations that need to be said. So, working in the center, we were right in the center of Boulder. And I'm sure you've all noticed, we have a lot of homeless people in this town lately. And us being a center that's open all day long, a great part of our work here is working with the homeless people and people with mental illnesses. So I probably am speaking more to people with mental illnesses than I'm actually speaking with people that don't have them, and it can really get you confused. It's really hard to stay in your center when you're trying to help people that are, unfortunately, their brains are misfiring and having a difficult time. But I saw this on Facebook, and I just wanted to share it because it touched me so much. I saw the most incredible display of humanity on the SkyTrain. A 6'5" man suffering from drug abuse and/or mental health issues was being very aggressive on the bus with erratic movements, cursing, shouting, etc. While everyone was scared, this one 70-year-old woman reached out her hand, tightly gripping his hand until he calmed down, sat down silently with eventual tears in his eyes. I spoke to the woman after this incident, and she simply said, "I'm a mother, and he needed someone to touch." And she started to cry. Don't fear or judge the stranger on the bus. Life does not provide equal welfare for all its residents. And the way she's holding him, you can see him back here. You see the empathy and the compassion. She understood her calling as a Christ figure in this world. He might have been dangerous and he might have been scaring others, but she decided to tap into the truth. So many of these people just want to be seen, just want to be heard, just want to be experienced, regardless of what's happening with their minds, because the truth is they are also made in the image and likeness of God, and we are the advocates for reaching out and finding them help, giving them the compassion that they deserve. And I know this is a little bit off the point, but I didn't share that last week, and I really, really wanted to. What does it take for us to return to our souls? What does it take for us to return to where we once belonged? What does it take for us to return to the child inside of us? What does it take for our soul to come home? We are the divine expressions. And yes, sometimes you do have to fill up your glass. I know I have to be filling up my glass so much to be able to recognize I need to reach out my hand and hold that man's hand and help him calm down. But you can feel that in your guts when you read that. Could you not? Did that not spark something that's within you that recognizes the need for our complete and total awareness and higher consciousness to reach this life from something higher, from something greater, by a deeper calling that's saying, you are here to be truly helpful. You are here to represent Him who sent us. She who sent us. There are some hymns in this sermon, but it's he, she, for God, for me, just to be clear. In Genesis 1:26, it says, "And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion." When we have dominion over our thoughts and actions, we experience freedom from the bondage of mechanical thinking. Dominion moves us into a space of being that characterizes practices of evolved people. Reality has dominion over illusion. You have been created to have dominion over your illusory, impermanent thought forms. To the degree that you exercise that dominion, you will experience what Jesus the Christ meant when he encouraged us to consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothed the grass of the field, will he not much more clothe you? As you move into embodying dominion, you become confident that the plenitude, health, love, and creativity that are your spiritual birthrights will blossom into your life and adorn you, just as the lilies of the field experience all their needs being met. Wow, if we could just have faith that that is the case, boy, would we be freer to help others. But many of us are too consumed by these basic needs being covered, and we're so toiling over having enough money in the account, having the college set up for the kids, having the retirement set up, and we're living in this life of trying to protect ourselves in a box that somehow will stay safe from all these things when we don't realize that God's already doing it for us. We're being called to do bigger things than that. This environment's screaming for us to do better than that. We're already taking care of it if we're living in the service of God. We're living in the light of God, and we are here to be the conduits, to make a difference in this world. The food, the clothing, the housing, it's already taken care of. It's already been thought of. You get out of your own way and watch how it just gets taken care of. So you may do a greater work, my friends. O ye of little faith, be not therefore anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. But seek ye first her kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. This is the introspection. Seek ye first the kingdom of God within you. Get quiet. Go into our meditation room. It's open all day, every single day. We have monks, people have gone there that has christened that room. It is so filled with holy energy. You're ever feeling off and having a bad day, just come straight here. Go sit in that space and feel your vibration get lifted just by the consciousness that carries this center and this world. I want to share a video with you. And I think it's on the next one. Nope. Okay. I want to get this thing figured out.
My name is Syntysche Groverland, and for the last 30 years I've been a spiritual teacher, and for the last 20 I've been a published author, and I've spoken to people all over the world, inspiring them, helping them, lifting them up, and I have loved it. Everything was going well until a few years ago. In the course of 6 weeks, my brother died, my father died, my marriage imploded, and my life as I knew it fell apart. I taught thousands of people around the world. I was the one who was lifting people up, so I couldn't understand why I couldn't lift myself up. This shouldn't be happening to me. I received the guidance that I was supposed to leave everything behind and walk a pilgrimage. The Camino de Santiago, also known as the Way of St. James, the Way of Forgiveness. My pilgrimage began not just looking at a mountain, but at a mountain range. And it felt like the mountain of old stuff. It was overwhelming. It was spring, almost June, and the second day of my pilgrimage, it snowed. And so now I had to walk through mud and muck and ice and cold, just like all the pieces of my life that I had not yet fully healed from. Step by difficult step, something really big was happening. Old emotions that I had shoved aside started breaking up, moving on, and giving me a little more freedom. Forgiveness started coming back. And one step at a time, pieces of me that I didn't even know I had lost started coming back. And more I started to feel grounded, healed. More and more, I walked myself back into the most profound level of wholeness that I have ever experienced or knew was possible in my life. I walked home.
So I watched that video this week and found it extremely profound to my own life. I don't really have time to do that walk, but God knows I need it. I think I'd rather go do like a silent retreat where I'm relaxing more than hiking for 500 miles or something like that. But she goes on to talk about embracing the messy. It doesn't mean your life is a mess. When you're growing a garden, you're going to get dirty and muddy. You are going through the messy. That is also holy. It's part of your wholeness. It's necessary and sacred. You can run away or you can lean into it. So it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. You still have to be mindful in your meditations. Yes, she also talks about the right and the left, the walking. Walking is really good for the brain's healing. To walk a lot when you're going through a transformation or a change that's really scary is to get walking as much as possible. That the right and the left is actually getting the brain to start really healing it. Like she said, right, left. As she started moving through it, she started to discover the forgiveness aspect of healing, because we don't really ever get into an awakened state of consciousness if we're carrying around grief. And as you see in her work, you don't avoid life no matter where you're at. Even though she did all that good work, it's not like it goes as a deposit box that God's like, okay, they're never going to get a hard day ever again. She's going to have a brother, she's going to have a father die, and she's going to lose her marriage all at once. But there was some sort of spiritual evolution that was being called for her to go even deeper. Maybe she's a soul that chose to be here to grow and grow and grow, and I know I'm that soul too. We can't resist the changes of life. We've got to move with that river and move through them and understand that God is doing this for a purpose, because there's a greater calling for the soul that we are this lifetime, because we wouldn't have chosen to be here at this time if we weren't being called to be exceptional. If we weren't being called to be honorable, honest, awake, aware, and enthusiastic. That's a song, right? I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. My parents used to sing that in the morning all the time. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. They had deeper songs than that. But that was a good one for getting the kids dressed a little faster. So, if I am a spiritual seeker, then I have to understand the imperfections of life. You'd think it'd be the opposite, that I would understand that it is all perfect. But maybe imperfection is perfection. How would we ever grow our souls if it was all puppy dogs and balloons? How would I become a better wife? How would I become a better mother? How would I become a better minister? How would I become, if I didn't have turbulent moments that the mirrors put in my face going, I don't like that about me. I don't like that I'm short-tempered in this area. I don't like that I get scared when things are changing. I don't like these part of me that's broken and limited. I gotta face this limitation. I gotta face it. God, help me face it. God, help me face it so I can be greater than this. So that I can be so fully alive that I can experience a kind of unbelievable joy. That I wake up in peace and exude love. That I can get out of my own way. Who wants to get out of their own way? Let's do it. Let's get out of our own way. All right, we're going to go into a little singing meditation. I'm going to invite my mother out here. And we're going to have the words on the slide, and you guys can sing with us. It's not going to be a call and response. We'll sing the first time through, and then we're going to repeat that one again. And we need the piano on, or the synthesizer or something. You know what? Why don't you just get on the... Oh. All of the sound has been taken down? Okay, well, we've never, ever sold ourselves as an organized religion, so... This is a sound guy's dream right here. They unplugged everything, apparently. I know, look at that. See, this is that holy instant right here, that holy pause. Life just does not go the way that our human souls say it should. God takes a little time sometimes, but look at this. This is going to be good. This is worth it. Return to your soul. Return to your heart of hearts, to your golden dream, to the child inside. And you'll be coming home. Home to where you're born, where your roots are strong, where you once belonged. We're going to try that again. Return to your soul. They say to sing is to pray twice. Return to your heart of hearts, to your golden dream, to the child inside. Yeah, you sound awesome. And you'll be coming home. Home to where you're born, where your roots are strong, where you once belonged. We're going to do that verse again, Heather. Return to your soul. Return to the heart of hearts, to your golden dream, to the child inside, and you'll be coming home, home to where you're born, where your roots are strong, where you once belonged. Same verse. Return to your soul. Return to your heart of hearts, to your golden dream, to the child inside, and you'll
coming home, home to where you're born, where your roots are strong, where you once belonged. Return to your soul.
So it is. Love you so much. We'll take an offering for unity.
We are going to take an offering for unity now. When we do that, I'd like to remind you that this is not the giving away of something, but this is an investment into how we want to see the world become, the kind of world we want to live in, the kind of world we want to co-create. And remember that we are the conduits of prosperity flowing into this universe, into this physical experience from the divine. So as a conduit of that, I have to open up myself and allow it to flow physically, mentally, and spiritually. So that's a part of the process. We do that right now. So we take our offerings into our hands, and we have many ways to give. If you have not got cash or a check with you, we do have several digital ways to give through text or app or online, or even the dip jars outside in the lobby. So let's take our offerings into our hands, and we're going to bless them with this offering statement. If you'll say it with me, it's up on the screen. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive because I give. Thank you.
Good morning. We are Alethea Rising when we sing outside of the church, and we have a performance this evening at the Muse in Lafayette. We have flyers out back, and if you can't make it tonight, please add your name to our newsletter list so we can keep you posted on when we will be singing again. But the name Alethea Rising comes from the Greek word aletheia, meaning truth or unconcealedness. So our music is mostly a cappella with a little bit of guitar, but we're going to be doing an a cappella for you today.
May I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest this time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining, almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the 1,000 reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I suggest to you, why I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. A secret world, a treasure chest to you, of private scenes and brilliant dreams that mesmerize. A tender lover's smile, a tiny baby's hands, the million stars that fill the turning sky at night. Oh, I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a hope that's been expressed in you, a hope of 7 generations, maybe more. This is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. Inside you'll know, inside you'll understand. Inside you know what yours to finally set right. And I suggest to you, and I suggest this is the best part of your life. This is a song, comes from the west to you, comes from the west, comes from the slowly setting sun. This is a song with a request of you to see how very short the endless days will run. And when they're gone, and when the dark descends, we'd give anything for one more hour of light. May I suggest this is the best part